Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel Talks with Dee. I remain yours truly, Mrs. Daughter O2, welcoming you to yet another inspiring and exciting episode on this channel. Thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Oh, compliments of the season. It's the joy of season. We have entered into the season of merriment, the season of thanksgiving, the season of joy, love, and laughter. God has been so gracious unto us all through the year, and we are coming, closer to the end of the year with testimonies, of course, because for the fact that you are alive and I'm alive, that's the greatest testimony that we have to share, and we are grateful to God for life. So God bless you, God honor you. Thank you so much for being so supportive all through the year. You've been such a huge blessing to me, and I'm grateful for you. God bless you. All right, so welcome back. On today's episode, we want to discuss a topic I titled The Hidden Danger of Desperation. The hidden danger of desperation and how it impacts our lives. Why did I come up with such a topic, for such a time as this? It's because we know what happens. We know that seasons like this, people are under pressure to want to outdo themselves, to want to make an impression, to want to get the validation of people, to want to prove that they have arrived. There is no need for that. Desperation simply means a state of hopelessness. By way of defining it, when you are desperate, it simply means you have found yourself in a state of hopelessness. In fact, in a state where there is no hope at all. You have just given up on what could go right with you, and you want to go all out on your own to see what you can make happen for yourself. And may I remind you that in as much as you work hard, in as much as you have good intentions, at the end of the day, it's God that gives you power to accomplish, power to make wealth. So we don't have to undo ourselves to prove a point. I think that there are seasons in the lives of people, and our times and our seasons are in the hands of God. So I want to encourage us on this episode that the spirit of desperation is not of God. You should not put yourself under that atmosphere of desperation, and you should not allow people to bring you under the atmosphere of desperation. Why are you desperate? Because the year is coming to an end and everyone wants to show off a house or a car, whatever it is. No, you are not in competition with anybody. For the fact that you are alive, that is your greatest win this year. So this episode is telling us not to be desperate and not to give room to any form of desperation. And if you are into that state of desperation, we want, by the grace of God, that God brings you out. Because, desperation is a state of the mind. It is your state of mind that makes you to be desperate. When you feel hopeless within you, when you think you can't meet up, when you think you want to prove a point to people, you become desperate. You put yourself under unnecessary pressure, and then you begin to do things that you are not supposed to do. You see, when you're desperate, what happens is that you make irrational decisions. You become very impulsive. You take unnecessary risk. And by so doing, the consequences are unbearable. Do you understand? Some things you do under desperation because your judgment is beclouded. And then after you are done with it, you see the consequences of your actions. You will not be proud of it. So we want to advocate on this channel, in this episode, that we should not give room for any form of desperation. When you're desperate, it means you have lost hope. When you are desperate, it means you feel there is no solution in sight. When you're desperate, it means you have even given up on life itself. When you're desperate, it means that you feel you have no helper. Does that mean you do not have God anymore? Don't be desperate, because desperation leads to a lot of consequences that at the end of the day, we are never going to be proud of. All right. So that's a foundation I've just laid, about desperation. So now one thing we want to consider, the first thing we want to consider is the impact of desperation in our lives. What happens when we are desperate? The number one thing that happens is that it impairs our judgment. When you are desperate, your judgment is beclouded. Your mind is no longer sound. And so you don't see things properly anymore. your judgment is weak. And that moment of desperation, you become vulnerable to a lot of things that does not make sense under normal circumstances. So number one thing it does is that it impairs your judgment. Number two thing that desperation does is that it makes you not to think straight anymore. Your thought pattern become tunneled. Your vision become tunneled. Tunnel vision. You are only fixated on what you want to achieve. You don't look at any other thing. You don't hear any other thing. You are just running, racing against time. I don't know who will race against time and win. Who will race against time and win? So when you are desperate, it makes your mind to be tunneled, your vision to be tunneled. You are not seeing anything anymore. You are just fixated on what you want to achieve. Now, that is not good enough. Now, desperation also leads to motivation and determination. This motivation and determination is a positive, thing to happen in your life under normal circumstances. When everything is in the right proportion in your life, when you're determined and you are motivated to achieve greatness, there's nothing wrong about it. But when you come under desperation, your motivation becomes negative and your determination becomes so fierce that it doesn't balance up with life. Okay, that's what, desperation does. Desperation also impacts negatively on our interpersonal relationships. When you see people that are desperate, you'll be careful with them. So yes, you want to achieve, but everything on your mind is, I want to make it, and everybody's just tired of you wanting to make it and not enjoying life. Desperation does not allow you to enjoy the blessings that come along with relationships. You just want to make it. It makes you just to be focused on yourself, and it does not help in our interpersonal relationships when we are so desperate. And desperation also impacts negatively on our self-confidence. In the first place, you are desperate because you want to make a point. To who? It then means that you are not confident in yourself. You have lost confidence in yourself. So it also shows your lack of self-esteem. Why do you want to prove a point? Why do you want to buy stuff just to be accepted in the society, to be accepted in a particular cycle? You want people to just say, she has arrived, he has arrived, so yeah, you can come closer. So desperation makes you to actually lose your self-confidence, because what you are looking for, you are so desperate about it that you have lost yourself. Yes. So desperation has a lot of impacts on us that I cannot exhaust on this episode, but I know you know what I'm talking about. When you feel desperate, something in you dies. What dies in you is hope. What dies in you is the fact that tomorrow can be better than today. What dies in you is that enthusiasm of the fact that, listen, God is still with me and I'm okay. When you are desperate, a lot of things go wrong. What does desperation do to people? Desperation actually pushes people into using substances. Yes, it does. They are so desperate, they are so hopeless. I can't make it. What do I do? And before you know it, they are into one vice or the other. It makes them to want to harm themselves. Everybody's making it in my cycle, and I'm just left behind. I can't stand it. So you go into drug abuse. You want to harm yourself, and sometimes people have suicidal thoughts when they are desperate. So these are things that happens to people when they are under pressure to make a point and to prove a point. And I know that you understand what I'm talking about in this season where everybody wants to show off something. Don't allow that pressure to come upon you so you don't regret. So desperation is actually an emotional state of mind that makes one feel so overwhelmed and sometimes lonely, and then it disconnects people from other people. When you're a desperate man, a desperate woman, it's like you're on your own, pursuing whatever it is that you have in mind. Listen to me. Desperation has to do with the state of your mind. So you have to guard your heart so you don't fall into desperation, because it does not do well. So what do I do in order not to be desperate? You are saying I shouldn't be desperate. So what do I do in order not to be desperate? One thing I recommend is that you should be thankful. When you are thankful, you tend to think deep and see the things that God has done for you already. See how far you have come. Because when people are desperate, they don't see anything that has happened positively in their lives. They only feel that nothing has really happened, so they must make things happen by all means. That's what desperation does. But for you not to be desperate, please, can you do more of thanksgiving? Look through your life and see how gracious God has been to you. Have you been to the hospitals lately? You see cars parked. They are not there partying. They are there for one health issue or the other. But you and I, we are here. From January to this moment, we have not been hospitalized. That is enough to be grateful for. You are single, and so what? A lot of people got married within the year and they were divorced. Is that what you would have wanted? A lot of people buy cars and they were accidented. They had accidents. A lot of things happen during the year, but you are still standing. The Bible said, to him that is joined to all the living, there is hope. So please, one thing that you have to do to wear off that spirit of desperation in your life is to be thankful. Be focused on what God has done and not on what God has not done. Listen to me, you are work in progress. And what does not happen today will happen tomorrow as long as you still have life. So there is no need to be desperate. So that's one thing you can do to really deal with the spirit of desperation. To say, no, I will not be looking at what has not happened. I would rather focus on what has happened and be grateful for what has happened and be grateful for the fact that I still have life and I still have health, and anything can be possible. Tomorrow can definitely be better than today. So that's one thing you can do to deal with desperation. And what do you also do? Can you go to God in prayer? The Bible says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything with prayer and thanksgiving, make your requests be made known unto God. Can you still go to God in prayer and say, Father, this is what I want happening in my life. Please help me. Help me achieve this. Help me achieve that. I really want to, get this done. But Lord, I know with you, I can do all things. You see, you get back to God. And so the spirit of desperation lifts you. Because right now, you have an anchor. You have an helper. He says he's the helper of the helpless. We should call upon him in the time of need and he will answer us. And so that's what you can do also to shake off desperation. And then what causes desperation? This thing they call desperation. So many things are behind that desperation. One thing that causes desperation is when we allow ourselves to be under pressure to prove a point to people. We want to prove points to people. We want people to know us. We want people to see us. We want to make an entrance into a place. We want to be known for something. That's fame, that ego, want to be accepted, want to be seen, drives people into desperation to prove a point by all means. Another thing that makes people to be desperate is that they allow negative thoughts to stay in them. I told you that desperation is the state of the mind. It is a negative state of the mind, a state of hopelessness of the mind where the mind does not see any way out, no solution inside. You get desperate because you can see no solution inside. So when you allow negative thoughts to stay in you, it pushes you into desperation. So what do? Push away negative thoughts from you. When negative thoughts come, replace it with positive thoughts to say, no, I will make it. It's not over with me. The end of the year is not the end of my life. That I have not achieved this at this moment, at this time, at this particular point in time in my life, does not mean that I will not achieve it. So I'm not going to give up on myself. I'm not going to give up on life. So you have to deliberately push away negative thoughts from your mind and fill your heart with positivity. And then stop comparing yourself with people. You are not on any race with anybody. Listen, you're on your own lane. You are on your own lane. You see your name is unique. Your DNA is unique. You are not in any competition with anyone. You are not trying to outdo anyone. Stay on your lane graciously and pursue your life with integrity. That's what I recommend that we do. These are things that we can do to push away consciously spirit and the feeling of desperation. That's what it is. All right, so what are the consequences of desperation? Because I tell you that when we are desperate, we make impulsive decisions. We make irrational decisions, and then we do things that have some lasting impact. And at the end of the day, we are not going to be proud of ourselves because we did it under desperation. So number one consequence of desperation is that it makes us to take unnecessary risk. Unnecessary risk. We are not thinking about it. We just want to get it done. Someone is promising you stuff. You don't know what it entails. You just go into it, and then before they know it, these are the conditions. You're already trapped. So unnecessary risk. That's one consequence of desperation. When we are desperate, it makes us to take unnecessary risk when we are desperate. So I appeal to you, please don't do that. And it makes you to take irrational decisions. Irrational decisions. You are just making decisions without balancing the consequences. in your mind. You just want to, yes, I've decided, yes, I say yes, let's go with it. It doesn't matter. Let's just get it done. No, when you do that, at the end of the day, you will not be proud of what that decision you have made will bring to your table. It also makes us to be manipulative and deceitful. When you are under the pressure of desperation, you will become manipulative. Yes, you will become very, very manipulative, and you become deceitful because you want to get it by all means. So your personality is going to be compromised. That's what it is. So that's what also we get when we are desperate. Desperation erodes our moral values and principles. You are a man or a woman of integrity, and then all of a sudden, because you get desperate, you threw that to the wind, and then you just want to get whatever you want to get. So you see, these are the consequences of desperation. It erodes your lifelong valued principles that have guided you, and then you just throw them away, and you just want to get whatever it is you want to get by all means. Thus, that is not healthy. That is not acceptable. So I implore you, do not allow desperation to come into your life, to mess you up, because you know what? It messes you up. And it also brings about irrational behavior. You see some people become violent. They are so desperate. They want to win by all means. They want to get that contract by all means. They want to get whatever it is they want to get by all means. And so their behavior is impaired. They become violent. People that are normally calm and gentle become so forceful, all because they want to get things done. So you see, it has a lot of consequences that are not very interesting at the end of the day. So I implore you, please, do not allow yourself to be desperate about anything. Do not allow anyone to make you desperate. I am appealing to everyone watching this video. Are you a wife? Please don't allow your husband to go into desperation mode because you want to push him to achieve what other husbands have achieved. Whatever it is, in whatever relationship that you find yourself, please do not push yourselves into desperation. Be grateful for how far you've come. Be hopeful that tomorrow will be better. Are you a single? Please do not be desperate to say yes to any man that comes. Some of us will be going to the village, our villages for this festive season. Do not say yes to any man that comes that you don't know. Don't say, I used to know him. You don't know him today. Oh, he stays abroad. Is that enough? Do you know the life he lives abroad? Don't just go and say, I'm getting old, let me just settle. No. Marriage is a long journey. Don't be desperate to say yes to anyone that comes your way. In fact, don't be desperate to say yes to any gift and every gift that comes your way. Be sensitive, please. Don't go and say, it's a gift and I will take it. No. Some gifts have hidden agenda. So please, do not be desperate to do what you will not be proud of tomorrow. Do not be so thirsty that you receive water from every cup that is offered you. Don't be so thirsty that everything goes. Don't be so thirsty that you can give up everything to gain what you are looking for. By the time you get what you are looking for, you discover that does not even give you fulfillment. So your fulfillment is not in grabbing and grabbing and grabbing, but I think your fulfillment is in settling down, being grateful for how far God has brought you, being grateful for what is happening in your life now, and being grateful for the fact that the future is still going to be brighter because you still have your life. So your joy and fulfillment is not in grabbing more and more, but rather is in appreciating what has happened and enjoying the blessings that abounds within you. So that's my counsel on this episode, that we should not give room to any form of desperation in this season and even after this season. If you cannot buy chicken, please, can you buy egg? If you cannot buy new clothes, this season is not for show off, you see. It's rather that people should be happy and be joyous. So just be happy in your space. Enjoy the little that you have and be grateful for it. Wear your clothes. I mean, just be happy. All right? Don't put yourself under pressure to prove any point to anyone, because that's the truth, and that's one thing most of us don't realize. People don't even take us as seriously as we think they are taking us. So just relax, stay in your lane, enjoy this life, be grateful for this life, and be thankful and be hopeful. Please, one thing that will kill desperation in us forever is to be hopeful. When you are hopeful that tomorrow will be better than today, you will rest your case and enjoy the ride. All right. So that's all I have for us on this episode. Hoping and praying that this season will not bring us under undue pressure, undue desperation to prove a point and to be validated by people and to be accepted by people, but to be grateful that God has brought us thus far and our lives can only get better even in the coming year. God bless us and God honor us. So until I come your way again, this is me, Dee, saying thanks for being here. And please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel. Let's spread this video and the word around so people can be impacted positively and be a blessing. All right. God bless you. So bye. Thank you.